Hey everybody, it's Brad. I am here answering a YouTube comment. Someone has a question about the video that I just put up earlier today about making those name snowflake things. So let's get to the question. We've got Lois Van Ackern thinks that it's cool but would like to turn it into freestanding lace and has no idea how to go about it. Is that possible? Yes. It is possible, but it's to make like really beautiful freestanding lace, like what you see in like stuff like John Deere design packs and like uh, what is that one brand that makes really beautiful lace? Like Dakota Gunold and there's lots of lace design packs out there that look beautiful. I don't know how they make absolutely gorgeous, beautiful lace like that, other than sitting there and spending hours and hours and hours manually digitizing every segment of it. But to make it freestanding so that you could sew it out, that I can show you how to do. It's not going to be an amazing work of art necessarily, like someone who manually digitizes lace. But yeah. So what is it about freestanding lace designs that make them able to be freestanding and not fall apart? And the main thing is you have to have a continuous line of stitching that doesn't stop, and um, that's why it doesn't work to use a stitch like, let me just draw an area in and bring in a motif, or they call them fancy fills in the, or no, they don't. They call them motif. Here we go, motif fill. Sorry. So you would think that something like this looks like it should be able to be freestanding lace, but if it looks like a freestanding lace fill that you would see. Like, why couldn't I sew this out on a water soluble stabilizer and have it work? Well, if you watch it sew out, you see how each individual cross is sewn out individually. There's nothing linking them all together and keeping them all as one cohesive unit. What we need is for the stitches to come down and then back up, and then down and then back up, and then down and then back up, etc. And then the same thing going the other direction, one continuous line. Otherwise, it does not hold together. So in a program like this, in Floriani, which doesn't have a button that gives us freestanding lace, it's more challenging than if we had something else that has a freestanding lace button. For instance, Designer's Gallery Creator has a freestanding lace button, so I could just hit a button and it would do it. Now, Creator doesn't let me do the circle template the same way, so I can't make the design in that the way that I do it in here. So, and besides, you're asking me about Floriani Total Control anyway. But so in Total Control U, it is possible to do it, but it's not very intuitive. Now, I have made a video previously about this technique, but I'm going to show you how to incorporate this design into that technique that I showed before. Like, it was a couple of years ago that I made that video, so not everybody may have seen it. So here's the process that I would start with. Number one, when you first start making the design, you want to do it with this in mind, because there's a couple of changes you're going to make to the properties of the letters before you put them on the circle. So let's go ahead and open up the text tool and bring in some letters. I'll type in Meadow again and hit apply. Okay, so before we mirror image this and start bringing in multiple copies of it, when you are making a satin stitch that's going to be part of a freestanding lace design, it has to have a lot of underlay, or it's going to be floppy, it's going to wave, it's going to get that lettuce look. So we need to make sure that the underlay on this is set to be pretty dense and pretty substantial. So we're going to go in our properties menu here, we're going to go to underlay, and we're going to change this. Instead of saying parallel, we're going to set it to zigzag, which is a much denser underlay. And we're even going to increase the density of our underlay. We're going to about double it. I'm going to set this to 1 millimeter instead of 2 millimeters, and I'm going to hit apply. Okay, so now if we watch this sew out here, we'll see that it sews out. I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. We'll drag the little slider here. It sews out a zigzag and then another zigzag on top of it, and then it starts putting down the satin stitch. Okay, it kind of has to almost weave fabric underneath of the design because there's not going to be any. So really, I may even need, I don't have an embroidery machine here to sew this out and see what it would look like. You may even need to increase this density a little more, and have it more dense. I don't know. Try it at 1 and see what it looks like. But anyway, so with that said, the next thing that we're going to do is proceed with digitizing the snowflake. So we need to copy and paste, mirror image our letters. I'm not going to do this real slowly. If you need to see how to do this, watch the first video. Although I got that a little too close. Here we go. And then we'll align it. Okay, and then we put it on our circle. Okay, so circle template. I'm going to set this to an 8 count and a 180 angle here. Hit apply. That's my snowflake. Okay, so here we have our snowflake. And what I want to do with this is I want to have an outline that goes around it that is the same shape. Basically, what it's called, an inflated outline is what I need, and the tool that does it is this one right here, the Create Outlines button. But it doesn't let you do it off of lettering designs, which these are. It only lets you do it off of objects that are either something that you draw, or something that you import. That's a vector shape, something that has outlines to it, basically. And our letters don't have outlines to them as far as the software is concerned. So we can either draw our own outline for us to put the fill that we're going to use as the freestanding lace part of this. But I actually found a way around this. So basically, what you have to do is save the design as a PES file, or whatever your stitch file is. If you've got a Janome or whatever kind of other kind of sewing machine you use, you save in your sewing machine format. So I'm going to save it as a PES. That's what I use. File, save as. We're going to save it as snowflake dot, and then change this to PES. So snowflake. Now the key here is that when I go to open this and go to File and open the PES down here, and I make sure that this says Convert to Outlines, has a little check mark next to it. I hit Open. What it will do is take that design and actually convert it to outlines. So it does kind of a weird job of it. Like if you look at the way that it has all this stuff split into these sort of arbitrary sections, but that just ignore all that, because it doesn't matter, because now we can use this Create Outlines button. All we have to do is select everything in the design, then we can click on this Create Outlines here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click that. I'm going to set my spacing to 6.5 millimeters. That's about a 1/4 inch. Leave this on 1 for ripples, or set it to 1. Yours probably by default won't be. And then hit OK. And what we get is a inflated outline. And this outline gives us something that we can apply some freestanding lace backdrop to give this whole thing some structure, so it'll stand by itself. So what we're going to do is, if we scroll down to the bottom of the design here, we see that this last thing, this last part that we've digitized, is just artwork. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to select that, and we're going to, if you haven't seen the other video, this is going to seem weird, but we're going to use the wave fill down here at the bottom. It's one of these purple stars. You left click on that, and it'll turn this this whole area into a wave fill, which normally what this does is it makes a fill that you can put like a bendy inclination into. But what's key about this is that there's no underlay and there's no traveling stitches inside of a wave fill. So what we're going to do, I'm going to turn 3D back off. What we're going to do is we're going to go use the shape tool, and if we look, we can see this inclination right here. That's the wave. We're going to get rid of this point on the inclination. We're going to left click it, and then right click and choose delete point. Do the same thing for the other one. Left click, right click, delete point, and that gives us a straight inclination, which now is going to make our stitches perfectly horizontal. Okay, we also need to reduce the density, which means increasing this value. I'm going to set it to 3 millimeters and hit apply. Okay, very good. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to set the start point for this to be somewhere up here, about there. And then we're going to set the stop point for this down here. Okay, and that's going to give it an uninterrupted path to go through this. There's not going to be anything crossing over, any weird stitches crossing in that's going to mess up the look of our lace. And then we need to have another one of these, so we're going to select it. I already had it selected. We're going to copy it. I'm going to hit Control C and then hit Control V to paste it, or you could right click, copy and paste. Then we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. Okay. And then we have our freestanding lace grid. Okay. Now we need one more so that we have something bounding it all together, which is going to be, we're going to make it a satin or a steel stitch. So we copy and paste one more time so that there's 3. Then the third one we're going to set to be a satin stitch. Lovely, and we can set whatever width we want that to be. The important part is going to be setting the underlay to be a zigzag underlay, and we want it to be pretty dense, 1 millimeter. That's what we had for the other one. We could even, like I said, we could even set this to be a little bit denser. I'm going to set it to 0.75 even, and hit apply. Okay, and now finally what we need to do is move these 3 items to be the first things that sew out. So we're going to select all 3 of these, just drag a box around them or use the control key. However you like to select multiple objects. We're going to right click, we're going to move them first. Okay, so now let's look at this in 3D. That we can sew out on a piece of water-soluble stabilizer, and it will be freestanding. That's pretty much the solution that I came up with for how to do it in Total Control U. I hope that this answers your question. Give it a try, sew it out. Let me know how it works out. I'm just theory crafting here. Like I said, I don't have something to test this, but I think it would work. I've done these before, and I don't see any reason that it wouldn't work. So give it a try. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.